Hey guys, before we get into today's video, we are going to have a major optics manufacturer in-house on the podcast. And I wanted to take this time to ask you guys, if you've got questions about rifle scopes, about binoculars, spotting scopes, anything in the optics world, how they're made, why they're made the way they are, certain feature sets, drop them down in the comments here or send us an email at podcast@hornady.com. We're going to take all those questions. We're going to sit these guys down. You're going to have the director of engineering and the VP of new products at your disposal. Let us know your questions. We'll grill them with them, and I think you're going to enjoy the episode.
I'm Joyce Hornady. You might say accuracy is my business. I make bullets.
You are listening to the Hornady Podcast.
Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Hornady Podcast. I'm your host, Seth Swerczek, and today I brought the marketeers in, the whole podcast production team, as it were. Judd, Jarzynka, Preston, Lentfer. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
I don't think we had a choice. I say that every time.
No, Judd we had to almost lasso Judd to get him in here, but now he's back.
I didn't have my rope on me. Otherwise, I would have.
I thought you were going to say back by popular demand.
Well, we've got a lot of comments.
Well, there's one comment.
At least one, and people know you as the Ruger American guy. He's building a custom rifle, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have it on the show.
Well,
spoiler alert.
He started at
8 to 12 to
6
14
months
months
ago, so
6
we probably
years
got
ago.
at least 12 months.
But it's not a Ruger American.
No,
so he's
fully
not.
custom.
Don't pigeonhole him.
They're not going away though.
No, definitely not. No,
because it's almost hunting season. That's why. And I say almost hunting season. It's really not even. Well, it's pretty close.
We're talking about it in the office. We're
So,
talking about hunting.
Here's kind of what spurred Judd getting lassoed into this. He had no say in this, however. This morning time, we're doing the water cooler talk around the office. I come through. Who do I see? Mr. Jarzynka, Ryan Damon, standing near the breezeway talking. You want to know what they were talking about? I don't know. I didn't overhear. I guarantee it was talking whitetail.
Oh yeah, we're talking trail cameras.
Meeting of the minds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found a good deal the other day at a local store.
The farm store.
Heck of a rebate. Heck of a sale price. Holy cow. I'm surprised they even have any left on that end cap.
So the rut is on because we're talking about hunting at work. That we always do, but it's getting close now.
Well, the quasi-work rut.
The work rut, that's what I meant, the work rut.
We were lip curling a little bit.
Yeah, office rut. Yeah. So this one's going to be hunter-focused and hunting-focused, and we've got kind of a different mindset for the use of tripods around the table. We all kind of have a different use case, different obsession level, varying from, they're a thing, and I kind of use them sometimes, to I own more than I care to mention on the show. So
you can mention it.
No, I own a plethora, Hefe. Anyway, this show we're going to dedicate to tripods. Now,
this one's mine. The rest.
Well, I got more at home, but these ones are only hunting focused,
right.
And so that's what the podcast about. And we're going to highlight some specific brands and models and features that we like or don't like. But this isn't just about these individual tripods. It's about the idea of a tripod for the hunter, and where do we see these tripods fitting in for our hunting. So with that, around the table, I think it goes without saying, but how does it fit in your lineup? Do you use a tripod in the field on the hunt? Obviously, I own a bunch, so yes, I do. But
We'll start with me. Okay. This is my one and only hunting tripod. Now, when I say hunting, I'm talking whitetail, mule deer, western, even Nebraska whitetail.
Yeah.
Deer hunting, elk hunting, that kind of a thing. This is my one tripod. When I do go night thermal hunting, I also use a tripod, but I'm not so worried about size, weight, girth, all the things, because I'm carrying it on my shoulder.
Yeah, with the gun on it, usually.
Exactly. So for that one, I've got a big, you'd use it for PRS type stuff.
Yeah.
I want it rock solid. So I use a giant one for that. But for my general use hunting.
You have one with you all the time?
All the time.
Mm.
Shooting and glassing, both. This is the one I have. And you might have to tell me about it because I'm not entirely sure. It's a Leofoto 32 millimeter.
32 millimeter first leg.
4-section.
Yep.
4-section. And I can shoot standing off of this if I really need to.
So that's the L version, is it not? No, standard.
This is a standard.
And that one has kind of their inverted ball head. Pseudo-inverted ball head.
So, yeah, Arca attachment on it. Now, this is not the way it came. This is not the one that it had when it came. Nice man, young man by the name of William Ryder, if you want to check him out on Instagram. Shout out to him. Has got something going on with Leofoto. Met him at an NRL hunter match. He saw I had this tripod. I was using the screw type
the
Arca
attachment
clamp
method.
And he went ahead and sent this to me. That was really, really nice of him. Appreciate it, because what I love about this one is right now it's closed, right? This right here, you can pop it off any way whatsoever in this far position. In this position, it can't come out, but you can slide it in and out. So it's really quick and handy.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the different attachment methods as we get through it. But you are when you're hunting, you've got a tripod.
Absolutely.
Okay, you use them.
All of the time.
For what reason? What are you using it for while hunting?
Depends where I'm at, I suppose. But glassing mostly. And then if I need to take a shot off of it, I will. Kneeling, standing, whatever that may be.
Now, Judd, over to you. Now, you're on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of asked that question of what your intentions are with it. Because I have a tripod with me when I'm hunting 9 times out of 10. But 9.8 times out of 10, that tripod is for glassing. That's what I'm using it for. Truly, to even add to that, I've yet to even take a shot off of a tripod.
During the day.
And truly, I think I only have one rifle, that 6-arc AR I built, that actually has Arca on it to take the shot.
Well, that might be the difference.
What did I do? I did something here a while back, Seth, where I took the saddle?
Mm-hmm.
I took that on what trip was that? Oh, the antelope trip last fall. I took my tripod. Again, I took a Ruger Predator. And I don't have Arca on that thing, so I borrowed Seth's saddle. So I was ready to shoot off the tripod, but it just didn't work out. I was able to lay prone and made the shot that way. So I haven't really transitioned over to being in the mindset of I have this tripod for glassing, but it's my go-to for the shot as well. I haven't been in that mindset, nor necessarily been forced into that scenario yet, which I'm sure it's coming, tall grass or whatever, or if I get to the point where I'm just comfortable shooting off the tripod is my thing, that's just not me now.
Not right now. Well,
in the daylight, I have yet to really go the tripod way.
Right.
Now, if we want to talk about thermal on night hunting, I'm in Preston's side. I've got a little bit beefier of a tripod, throw it on the shoulder, walk around, slap it down. I will say I do have a carbon fiber, a Leupold now. I had a heavier aluminum one that I used. It was actually Preston and I, the video guys, just a Manfrotto, aluminum tripod. Worked great. So I thought at the time, until I actually got into a good one. And there's worlds of difference once you step up the game.
And sometimes ignorance is bliss. I mean, this is not my first tripod. I've been through several of them to kind of land on this one at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I get what you're saying with you don't know what you don't know necessarily. Once you got into a good one, specifically kind of designed for hunting, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
or to shoot off of.
Yeah,
and you make a good point, because come to think of it, I'm not sure that I've shot a critter standing with this one, but the last time that I took an animal was a whitetail down in southeastern central Nebraska, kind of an extension of the Flint Hills of Kansas.
Yep,
we got rolling pasture. Big blue stem, a lot of tall grass. I actually used tripod rear support and had the front posted up on a bag on a fence post.
Wow.
So that's the last time I used it.
Getting tricky with it.
Real handy.
It did.
Well, and I was kind of playing NRL hunter games with it.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely going to talk about that. Judd also brought up another really good point, which is, why would I shoot off a tripod if I can shoot off a bipod laying prone? And that's always the answer. If you can lay prone with a bipod, man, I'm going to that in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I do think it's important to get proficient with the tripod, to have one. And like you mentioned, Judd, you mentioned it as well. 99% of the time, I just glass off these things.
Sure.
And I think regardless of where you're hunting or regardless of how you're hunting, you want to maximize the time behind the binocular, you put them into a tripod. That, for me, is a game changer. It takes your fixed 10-power binoculars, and it doesn't turn up the magnification literally, but, man, it sure feels like it when you have no wobble whatsoever.
Well, it takes the eye strain out of it,
Mhm.
right? You start getting into a little bit better glass. I started with poor glass my whole life and then got into this industry and started looking through better glass and said, oh, I need to have that. All of a sudden, it's rock solid. I can look through it for hours.
Right.
Singing, Hungry Eyes.
Yeah. The people that know will know.
Well, you
the
can
other-
explain it if you want. It's great.
Yeah, so when I glass, and this started when I first started glassing off a tripod, which would have been when we first went out to the sandhills to go look for mule deer. For whatever reason, I started singing in my head the song Hungry Eyes from Dirty Dancing. And I made a verbal, out loud, made a joke about having hungry eyes because your eyes are hungry.
You're hungry, trying
digging
to find
through,
something.
burning a hole through the glass, trying to find something. And so now I literally sit down and cannot stop singing the chorus in my head. It's kind of a curse, really.
Well, you've extended it upon to me as well. So.
Yeah. But another reason when you go to glass off the tripod, regardless of where you're at, if you are taking a spotting scope, this is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You
Trying to run a
have to have
spotting
one.
scope handheld, get out of here.
No, you got to have a tripod for that spotter. Now, the reason I have really devoted myself to tripods while hunting, and it's probably shared across the table here as well, if I'm going to take a piece of gear, it better have more than one purpose, outside of a rifle. Like if I'm going to glass with binos and glass with a tripod, with a spotting scope, and then I can shoot from it, that's a force multiplier 3 times over now. So having the ability to put a rifle onto these things is equally important to me. Although I spend 99% of the time glassing with them, the fact that I can shoot off them is a huge bonus.
Well, the shot is a very small part of the hunt,
Yeah.
So, it
So
only makes
with
sense.
that, this brought up my mindset too of, I have that style of ball head,
Mhm.
which I love for my night hunting, and which would potentially take a day shot too when I'm out hunting. But I'm just not a huge fan of that style for glassing. So how is this? We may be jumping ahead or going down a rabbit hole here.
No,
but
this is where it's at.
What? Yeah, I don't know. I'm
So
just not
let's-
convinced.
Let's jump into ball heads because that, like you mentioned, Judd, come from the camera world. You're probably used to this fluid head
Yeah.
right here
which I would prefer this style
for glassing.
For glassing with a spotter. But is that something you're going to shoot off of
You could,
as well?
but I think there's concessions that one has to make. I don't know that there's a perfect scenario.
No,
So
I think it's a great example of different strokes for different folks. What Judd is mentioning for the viewers, they can see it. For the listener, we have kind of a traditional ball head design. Now, those ball heads have an infinite axis, essentially, that you can move of any degree, and then you can lock that and then just pan left and right. And for shooting, that's fantastic. For running a spotting scope, it can be a little tricky because those spotting scopes are heavy. So you jump over to a fluid head, like a traditional camera-style fluid head for running a spotting scope or even binoculars. Phew, they're the ticket. Not so convenient to shoot off of. So where do you draw the line?
Well, I think a person has to decide what is most important to them. And I guess for me, this is what, an inverse ball head?
Inverted, yep.
Inverted ball head. So the reason that I kind of like it is, yes, if I'm glassing with binoculars, I would love the fluid head and the pan. That's fantastic. However, for shooting, this is important. But if I get to the point where I need that spotting scope on there, I can just, I need to look over there. I'm going to point the spotting scope in that direction and clamp it down.
Yeah.
Like it's fast in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a little bit more difficult or not as enjoyable to glass with the binoculars, but I don't know. That for me, that's kind of 2 out of 3. So that it won the battle there. But you're right. A person has to make their own decision.
Yeah.
Different strokes.
Judd, when you're out in the field, say you're going on a hunt this fall, are you going to take one with the fluid head or the ball head?
That's a good question. That's kind of what is running through my mind
But you
right
can,
now.
you can
as
borrow
well.
any one of these if you need one. I got
Yeah.
a few.
Yeah, I don't know because the bit of glassing I've done with my spotter with the current ball head, it's definitely tricky. It's just something I'm not used to, especially coming from the camera production side of the space. It's like, I don't know. It's tricky to run that ball head exactly how I want it. And it seems like I'll get it dialed in and like, okay, this is right where I want to look, or there's the critter, and then it slips and it's like, gosh dang, I got to restart. So I don't know. That's definitely something I need to think about. It's just crazy to me as you guys were talking, just how many things. Not only do you have to think about planning your hunt and what you're going to do and where you're going to go, there's so many little things, little rabbit holes you can go down. It's a lot to think about.
It can be, but it could be the difference between you getting the shot or not. And I've got several stories where this tripod right here was the difference between me going home with a giant mule deer buck or going home empty-handed. So I think they can really be useful.
Experience the cutting-edge performance of the 25 Creedmoor, the first 25 caliber cartridge purpose-built to take advantage of today's sleek, low-drag bullets, maximizing performance in the wind while maintaining minimal recoil and delivering excellent energy on target. Initial offerings include a 134-grain ELD match load and a 128-grain ELD-X precision hunter load. Elevate your long-range game with the 25 Creedmoor from Hornady.
Next thing I think we should talk about, obviously you got to pick the head that works for you, whether that's a fluid head or a ball head, or like Preston's isn't necessarily an inverted ball head, but it's kind of that same idea. You got to find what works for you, and then you got to train with it. But the biggest thing, you got to be able to clamp stuff into these things. Mm-hmm. And the universal, as it turns out, Arca Swiss. It was a slow burn, and then now within the last couple of years, everything is Arca Swiss. And Arca Swiss, 1.5 inch wide dovetail, essentially. And all of these heads will allow you to clamp an Arca plate onto it. Now, the Arca plate, you can buy them. They're really inexpensive. Look something like that. For the viewer, you can put these on anything. They make them to go on rifles. They make them, most spotting scope companies, these are integrated.
Yeah, which is so phenomenal.
And
holy cow.
For me, the biggest thing is commit to a system like the Arca system, and then my spotting scope, okay, integrated Arca dovetail, no problem. Rifle, I put a 4.5 inch Arca rail on my rifle. Binoculars, that is the big one. I think I know Tracer makes some of these, and S Archery or something like that. I'm not sure. They 3D print these little bands, essentially. They're about 1/4 to 1/2 inch wide. I think Tracers are metal, and they're really small, incredibly small. You would never know they're even on there. You clamp them around the barrel, one barrel of your binocular, and then you can clamp that right into your tripod. So now you've got Arca Swiss on your binos on your chest, Arca Swiss on your spotting scope, and when it comes time for the shot, Arca Swiss right there on your rifle. I mean, it is a system, and it works.
Yeah, you know what I might do? I might put Arca Swiss like on the bottom of my cooking stuff.
There you go.
That way when I'm in camp, I'm not bending over anymore. I can just get it to, leaning over level.
There you go.
Tripods have no limit to what you can do with them.
That was funny. I don't care what you say.
I thought it was funny. There's really, the Arca Swiss came from the video world, did it not? Or the photography world, at least.
I believe photography.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been around for who knows how long.
Yeah, quite a while. There is a bigger one, though. Isn't the Manfrotto?
Yeah.
They have their own proprietary.
I'm sure there's a few different ones. But yeah, Manfrotto has a couple different styles. And then I'm sure any Amazon tripod fluid head, there's all kinds of different things. But I would say of the standard, Arca Swiss.
Yep. And what you get with some of these, like Preston's, for example, and this one up here, the loophole, is the ability to not just clamp in an Arca dovetail, but also a Picatinny rail. And that can be really convenient because most rifles now, a lot of people put Picatinny rails on there.
Just now.
Yeah, that'll go Picatinny right there in the middle.
For.
Right there.
Oh, yeah,
just
that's
learned
Piccadilly right there.
Holy cow.
Yeah, yep. It's
and
really
we say
handy.
Piccadilly in all in a joke. There's
an inside joke.
Yeah. Not going to go into that one.
No, but so isolate what kind of head you want. What works best for you? What's your primary use case? Isolate how you're going to attach your optics and your rifle into those heads, and then train with them. And the easy button is to go with an Arca. Ball heads are probably taking over, it seems like, over fluid heads, but every company that sells a good tripod also has a good fluid head. So pick your poison there. And then, as when it comes time to decision making, that's why I have so many of them. I was trying to find the perfect one for me, and as it turns out, there's not a perfect one for every hunt or every mission that you're going on. Sometimes you know different feature sets work better for different things. But Preston, you're 6'4", so the same tripod that you use that goes up so you can glass standing, I don't need that extra height or weight. How important is glassing while standing up to you guys?
Not that important to me. And actually, it's I got to hunch over quite a little bit to glass off of this. With the spotting scope, it's just fine, because I got the angled little vortex built-in Arca rail. That's fantastic. But I use something similar, like on the binoculars. I use the Really Right Stuff clamp. It's just a little bit thicker.
Okay.
It's not as compact. Still goes in the bino harness just fine. But it's a strap and a plastic Arca clamp on the bottom of it. But I do not do a lot of glassing with the binos standing.
Okay, Judd, for you, do you do, most of the time you're hunting?
Well, and maybe I'll dive into that a little bit further.
Go ahead.
The reason that I don't glass standing is because, or I didn't get the one that I could glass standing, is because this right here is a bit more, or maybe about max of what I want to put in the side of my pack.
The collapsed length.
Right.
Okay. Judd, do you need a glass standing up? Is that a concern for you?
No, I can't say that I really ever have, other than, being at a PRS match where everything's set up and I'm standing watching steel targets. I would say truly no. On the standing up, I've usually always tried to get in somewhat of a comfortable position because I'm planning on probably being here for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
With hungry eyes.
And I would say the other side of that, though, is I'm trying to think of the times I've glassed with binos instead of the spotter. And truly, I think there's only one time where I went heavy binos. And I don't know if this is right, but it's the way I'm
it's the way you're doing it.
It's the way I'm,
and
I'm
right
an
for you.
expert in my own opinion. You can't take that away from me. Anyway, the way I'm selling it to me, and I don't know if I really thought about this at the time. Maybe I did, just didn't really know it. Was the Coos deer hunt down in Mexico where
optics intensive.
I've never done a Coos deer hunt. I'm not there's a Coos deer buck. He looks good. Let's go after him. So I really wasn't really trying to get a close look. Okay, what's this buck look like? What's he got? Is this one I want to go after? It's like, no, he's a buck. We're going.
Mm-hmm.
So that was such thick cover that I really wanted to see a wide space to try to pick up movement. That was about the only way you were going to see him, is if you'd catch some movement. So I maybe thought the spotter would get me in a little too tight. I wouldn't be able to catch movement. I wanted to because what I found myself doing was I would just leave my binos in a position for, a few minutes, and then just kind of watch and then pick through with my eyes, my field of view, rather than moving to try to catch movement. That was really the only hunt where I went heavy binos on tripod. Otherwise, if I'm out in the grasslands of Nebraska, it's fairly open.
Mm-hmm.
There's portions, I'm sure, in the mule deer country out there where you need to pick things apart. But on the antelope side of things, it's like, well, it's wide open. I can see that antelope.
There's a big old white butt out there.
Let me get the spotter on the tripod and then glass that way. So, a few different ways to use it. But I think only that one hunt I went heavy binos. Otherwise,
Interesting.
I have the spotter in my pack, and I don't even have the attachment on my binos to put them on the tripod.
Well, I suppose it depends on what you're hunting, because that antelope thing makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because they stick out like a sore thumb. I did a mule deer hunt in Wyoming last year, and it's all binos until you find that deer, and then you got to see if it's worth pursuing, because we're looking at them mile 2 miles away.
Yeah. And to answer your question directly, my mindset always is I like to try to get the tripod maybe a little lower because, there's breeze. It can kind of wobble your optics a little bit. So my thought versus standing was I always like to try to get a little lower, maybe tuck down. That was, whether that's true or not, I felt like it worked for me. So that's maybe why I've tended to get lower and not be glassing standing. I
think that's all, again, you're like you said, Judd, you are an expert in your own opinion, and we all are, and that's very, very valid. And you just have to, as the listener, just decide what kind of style of hunting you're doing, what game are you pursuing, and where are you hunting them at? Because I've hunted with these tripods, and I'm 99% of the time with the binos, where I'll get a spot up in the sand hills or wherever I'm hunting, get up top, put the binos in there, and then I'm gridding from left to right, and then right to left, and then I go up half to 3/4 of a field of view in my binoculars, and I do the same thing.
Oh, I go from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And you're talking
different
mule
strokes.
deer.
Mule deer
right?
primarily.
So I would say, and I really haven't.
Or what? I'm deer.
Yeah, and I haven't really done that in that part of the state. So, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Where you take the binos.
Here's where things change a little bit because I do almost all my glassing from my butt. And like you said, I'm there for the long haul. I work to get to a spot where I'm going to glass from. I'll make myself a cup of coffee and sit down and glass. Where it changes a little bit, two things. Number one, when I'm hunting with my old man, me and Dad love to go out, hunt west, and just be out there. And I'm real quick to just flop down, wiggle my butt into the little sand hill, and then get comfortable in glass. Dad's not quite as limber as he once was, and so he is much more apt to hike into an area and then glass standing. So for him, his tripod, it's very important that he can glass from standing just because he doesn't like getting up and down. Or, you walk in 1.5 miles, 2 miles in the cold, and then you sit down for 3 hours. You go to stand back up. Got to make a few dad noises. It sounds like a glow stick cracking when you go to stand back up. So for my old man, that's important. And then the second thing where I think glassing standing is important is when you're jabbing and stabbing. And, me and the old man were hunting deer in Wyoming in the same place where Judd had hunted antelope. So I've been out there twice for deer. He's been out there once or twice for antelope. And it's in a spot where there's plenty of public land for you to run in, check it out, and then move to the next one. And when you're jabbing and stabbing, a lot of that stuff you can see from the road. Or what we found was there's a lot of places you could sprint in there. You could walk in there half a mile, 700, 800 yards, get in there and glass. And then the next spot over, there's a piece of private that separates it. Well, I can still see a lot of it from here. And so you could get into a high spot and then glass over there. And when you're just, few hundred yards from the road or stopping on the side of those county roads, glassing into these chunks of BLM, I'll just throw the spot or either hook it to the window or just set the tripod up there in the road ditch and stand up and glass them. So for different styles of hunting, and that being one of them, I think it's important to be able to glass standing up.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, it becomes more of a problem when you're really tall. For normal people like me and Judd, most of these tripods will get you by.
Yeah, those tripods that Preston uses, I just set them up and use them as a TP tent.
Yeah.
Trash bag around them, I can fit right under there.
Probably could with that big loophole.
Yeah, that big loophole, you certainly could.
I got to divulge on another story here. So we're going down a rabbit hole. We can cut this out if we need to.
We're leaving it.
So you mentioned that area out in Wyoming that I went to a couple times. It was actually 3 times. And just this, keep in mind, this was my first public land hunt in general for big game, and then first out-of-state hunt. So, it's daunting. It's a lot for your first time, a lot to take on, different units, different seasons, this, that, and the other. So you mentioned I was out there a couple times. It was actually 3 times for that one season. I went out in the summer. I got my tag. I knew which area I'm hunting. Went out in the summer, did scouting, had a blast, saw antelope all over. You were just driving. And
saw a mule deer.
Saw a mule deer, and my line was, oh, man, this looks antelope-y. There's got to be an antelope out here. Sure enough, there's one. So that was a blast. And then I actually was going to go out and archery hunt. So, archery's early in Wyoming, August 15th. Take a whole trip, drive out there, stop in the local sporting goods retailer, get me a big game guide or the guide out there, And why I didn't look at this or double check, the season for that unit didn't open till September. So I took a whole trip out there to hunt.
You're an extra scouting.
Yeah.
Well,
So I did an extra scouting trip, but it's like, yeah, we're all human, and it's a lot to take on when you do that for the first time. So yeah, hey, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Ended up going back in the rifle season there the first part of October, and opening day shot a great goat. And
Yeah, you did.
my first public land out of state hunt was great success. So I'll
In the
never forget
books.
that.
That is a good experience. And a good little anecdote about make sure you got your ducks in a row.
Yeah, that was the feeling of like getting out there and see like double take at that in the hunting guide.
Thank
like,
goodness you found
what
out.
the heck? Yeah,
I've-
that would
I've
have been bad.
Yeah,
Done
stick
something
one.
similar before. That double take and then that subsequent gut punch
Yeah.
kind of sucks.
The high-speed 3-in-1 power case trimmer keeps up with your need for speed. Trimming, chamfering, and deburring 25 cases a minute. Built to handle a rush without compromising on precision. The ultimate tool for high-volume loaders. Set trim length quickly with macro adjustments and fine-tune with the Click Adjust micro dial. The high-speed 3-in-1 power case trimmer from Hornady.
So another aspect to picking out a tripod that you're taking hunting. So you're analyzing all this stuff. What am I
Color.
hunting? Where am I hunting?
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, not so much. The other thing, Preston, you talked about it. We've been talking about maximum height. Is glassing or shooting from the standing position important to you? Maybe, maybe not. Make that decision. How far are you going in with a tripod? What's the weight? And how small is this thing? Because to me, that is one huge factor when you don't want to be carrying extra weight for no reason or extra length. So how small does it get when it's folded up, stashed in the pack or on the side of the pack? And then how light is it? Because to me, those two things are critical,
Paramount.
depending on what kind of hunt you're doing. You
Yep.
You talked about that antelope thing or jabbing and stabbing where you're bouncing around from a bunch of places doing a lot of roadside glassing. Compact diameter and length really doesn't matter a whole lot versus think about our elk hunt when we went to Colorado a couple years ago. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if we were going to be jabbing and stabbing or if we were hiking in and setting up a spike camp, and we were prepared to do any of it. And so the weight and the compact nature of a tripod was very important. So the majority of tripods, they're trying to get small, but some of them are pretty darn long. How important is it for you guys to be compact and lightweight?
For me, it's huge. Like Matt Ritchie came in this morning, grabbed this tripod and said, "What's this little thing for? What's that going to do?" It's like, well, number one, it's going to be about exactly even with the top frame portion of my Sawtooth 45.
When it's folded all the way down.
Yep. So it's not sticking up above the pack. It's not way down. Not that way down really matters to me, but I'm a side of the pack kind of a guy.
Sure, you want it accessible.
Because if we are jabbing and stabbing, going from place to place, that pack's in the back of the truck, in the back seat. I can open up that door, grab it, slip it out of the pack, and it's there. But for me, it's important. Lightweight's obviously important because we were prepared to take camp in on our backs.
Right. Yep.
Turns out everybody else and their dog hunts in that unit, so we didn't really have the opportunity, but we were ready for it.
We were.
But this is light, somewhat short. Not as short as perhaps your preferred hunting tripod,
but it is important, and there is a trade-off. If you go too lightweight, too compact, you're going to sacrifice some stability.
Stability, for sure.
Yep. So there's a balance there. Judd, is that important to you? Sounds like you carry one, so it's got to be at least some part of the decision-making process.
Yeah. So yeah, when you guys were trying to get me on this episode, I didn't think I really knew a whole lot or had much to say about tripods, but just thinking about it, I actually own 3 just hunting, shooting tripods, which I guess has crossed my mind just now. So I have 3 different versions. I have the bigger Leupold, and then I have probably that
exact
one right there.
Yep, the 436.
That's kind of my do-all. And then before I had those 2, I went on Amazon and I did a little research, and I'm not going to say cheap, but I'll say I bought an affordable, real small, I can't remember the brand. If you guys really want to know the brand, drop a comment down below and I'll look it up.
Was it the same one that
Micah
Micah bought?
I think it was.
So that was a Suri
Yeah.
225 with the fluid head.
Yes.
255, 25 millimeter.
Well, I wouldn't call mine a fluid head,
Okay.
but it's
It was supposed to be.
maybe that's what it was. So I would say I've got 3 little stages. And that one's super light. I mean, it's lighter than the Leupold.
Yeah.
But what you give up on that, like, there's no way I would try to shoot off that thing. I mean, it can hold my spotter fine. If you add any wind to it, it really gets to wobbling, but it weighs nothing.
Right.
And it's one of those that actually like folds up on itself. So
Yep.
it gets like less than a foot, I would say. It's pretty small, super light. So if I was going on a hunt where like, okay, I'm not going to shoot off my tripod, but I want to have the tripod, I'm taking that thing for glassing
Sure.
9 times out of 10. Now, if there's an instance where, okay, I want the potential to shoot off this tripod, I'm going to take that size Leupold right
Yep.
there where I can kind of do it all. And then my big one, to this point, unless I'm on the range glassing, watching steel, I'll have it there, or it's my night hunter. So
Yep.
I would say if that answers the question at all, that's kind of how I treat the 3 that I have.
Yeah, you've got ultra compact optics only, the do it all, you can do everything with it, and then you've got the ultra not compact,
Yep.
just for shooting, just for the match style application. One thing we haven't touched on, and I'm not a tripod designer, but all of these share a similar design feature, and that is, I think, what they call a closed or a fixed apex. What I mean by that is the legs where they attach, when you fold it up, is virtually the same diameter from top to bottom. Now, those open apexes, the top where the legs attach, is usually larger in diameter than the bottom of the legs when you fold them all down. And that can increase surface area, obviously make them really, really stable. But when you go to put them in the side of your pack, they're not as easy to pack because they're bigger on the top, larger in diameter. So that's important. What that can create is an area in the middle of those legs, like this one for the viewers. That's about the diameter of a pop bottle or something. There's no room for a center section in there. And the center section is one way you can increase the length of a tripod without using the legs. Most of those tripods that have these fixed apex, they'll want you to attach a center column to the top.
Except for maybe this one here.
This one and this one. So down here we've got a Mutant Gear CF69, and it has a fluid head, and it's got 3 leg sections instead of 4. So it's compact nature. It's really great for optics intensive hunting because it's got that fluid head, but it only closes down to like, what is it, 20 says 21 inches, and that looks like a long 21. Looks to me like closer to 2 feet,
Yeah,
and that just sticks
21
up
from
really
here.
tall. But it has that center section. So if glassing standing is important, man, that thing is great for roadside kind of hunting, or when you're going in knowing glassing standing is important. Yep. So those center sections, I don't know, they're kind of, for me, I'd love to be able to get a tripod, no center section, because it's just an extra thing.
Okay. Well, let's not skip over your
That's
take.
what
though.
I was just going to say.
What's
on the
your take
size.
on how small it needs to get to?
Sure. Well, I'm somewhere between 5'10 and 5'11, and glassing from standing is not hyper important to me with binoculars. And therefore, I don't need to get a tall tripod for that. Like you said, got the old angled spotter, I can glass with the spotting scope from standing with all my tripods. The glassing standing is not really important. For me, size, weight, and what I call shootability, because I've been shooting off tripods 4 years. So for me, it's very natural to shoot off a tripod. I've come to that where I almost go to the tripod first and then transition to a bipod if I can, versus the other way around, when I'm hunting anyway. And so for me, it's got to be as short as possible, as light as possible, but I want 400 to 500 yard capability when I'm shooting from a low kneeling or a sitting position. And so the diameter of the legs is where you get that rigidity. Obviously the material, these are all carbon fiber. But for me, I really want them short. And a really good way to highlight that is this Vortex switchback. So they just sent this over to us to use. I haven't had this one in the field yet, but I can tell by looking at it that, man, it's only a 3 section. It's got two pull-out sections, but it'll go 65 inches tall, and it only shrinks down to 29 inches in length. So for glassing from standing or glassing where I'm not packing in, and then the big one here, NRL Hunter. I think that Vortex switch pack for the NRL Hunter is going to be huge because that height right there for me, just a slightly above average guy for height, I don't have to adjust the legs at all. I can open up the tripod, set it on the ground, and it is perfect height for me to take a kneeling shot or glass with my binos. And for NRL Hunter, you have to keep your tripods stowed in a collapsed position when you get to the stage. Well, I don't need to uncollapse that. I don't need to extend a leg at all. Those legs are extended enough as it is. So I think for NRL Hunter, that's going to be huge.
Well, we haven't done a podcast on NRL Hunter yet, but a lot of times guys are running, what is that plate called?
A tack table?
A tack table, right? Mm-hmm. With a Game Changer or Fortune Cookie on top of it. So you're adding height right there. I can see a little guy like you, or slightly above average, as you say.
Yeah. I think average height for a guy is 5'9" or 5'10" even.
Hey, all I could think about when he said that was the Brad Paisley song, I'm so much cooler online. Hey, I'm 6'2" over here, chiseled rip.
Yeah, that's true for the viewer. Judd is over here, 6'2" and chiseled.
Yeah,
you should see who he guards on the basketball court.
But yeah, you can add a little bit of height to that. I can see that being absolutely huge. Because in the NRL Hunter, a lot of times, like, I won't necessarily take it hunting. Maybe some people will, but a tack table this big,
yeah, like
with
a
bag on
6x9
top of it, you can glass very steady from it and shoot from it.
Yep.
I've rarely in an NRL Hunter match locked in the rifle to the Arca and shot off of a bag, off of a tack table.
Yep.
And it's like you're shooting on a very sturdy barricade.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so, the switchback, although it doesn't collapse super short, it would stick really high up out of the side of my pack. However, for the NRL Hunter games that we play and for, some of the other glassing and shooting that we do, I think that's going to be awesome. And it's
especially being 3 sections.
Yeah, super
fast,
convenient. For the hunting stuff, I've went through a few variations, finding kind of what I think is the perfect one for me. And this was, I built this one here. I didn't build anything. I assembled this one.
That's good
that
catch.
Same brand, that Suri brand, they were running a clearance on these legs. They're 29 millimeter legs, 4-section. And I got the legs for like $130. Okay. And then I found this ball head, the LH40, which is just a little big, but a Leofoto LH40 ball head. Bought that open box off the eBay for $100. So I was able to put together this really economical tripod. And for a lot of years, that was everything I ever needed. It collapses down to about 19 inches. It's about 3 pounds and change, 3.2 pounds, I believe. Fits in the side of my pack. I've been able to shoot off of this thing, glass off of this thing. It has just been perfect for me. And then now, like you mentioned, Judd, we've got the Leupold 436. If you're looking for just a do-all tripod, carbon fiber,
and you're
strong,
an average height person.
32 millimeter legs. It's going to come in there under 4 pounds. It's going to come with the ball head, but you can get a fluid head for it. Man, it really allows you to do 99.9% of your glassing with spotter, binoculars, and shooting. I've found that 28 to 32 millimeter leg diameter is about the sweet spot for stability versus weight for me.
The only thing I would throw in on there, so when we use that tripod for night hunting, for shooting specifically, and at least when I'm night hunting just with an AR with a thermal on it, I don't really get into a great shooting form or position. A lot of times there's no recoil on my 223, so I'm just straight up holding it like a Bubba and take a shot. So we do have to slap on the extension that you mentioned on the top of that tripod.
It's just a little short.
So for that style. But now if I was out hunting, I think, and I had to shoot off that, I could crouch and make that shot no problem. But for the night hunting on that tripod, we do like to add that extension on the top.
The extension is extendable, but the extension in its fully collapsed mode, I think it adds about 6 inches or so, which is just what you need to get up there for a standing shot. Yep, they're invaluable to say the least, and I think the more I use them, the more I become not dependent on them, but they just enhance the experience of the hunt so much more for me. I can glass more efficiently. I can see the quality of an animal. If I'm looking for a certain age class, I can gauge that better because my spotting scope is uber solid. For digiscoping, I mean, it's a must-have. And then the more I train and shoot off of these things, the more proficient I become at shooting things off of a tripod. Like I mentioned, killed several deer off the tripods. And here recently, my oldest son, turkey hunting, got the shotgun. We're running and gunning turkey hunting. This tripod right here with a sandbag. And he shot his turkey 410 on the sandbag right off the tripod from a kneeling position. And we practiced that at home. And it just really gives you that extra stability that you need to make a good shot.
Well, and I'm familiar with that 410.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to go back. You mentioned you used the saddle on your antelope hunt because your Ruger American does not have an Arca rail yet.
Mm-hmm. Get it to the gunsmith.
Yeah. Leupold has a great
Clamp.
polymer, I suppose. Yeah, plastic
Mm-hmm.
clamp with rubber grips on the inside. Very lightweight on that one. If for whatever reason my rifle doesn't have an Arca rail, which I'm having trouble thinking of one right now that doesn't, I'm going to use that pig saddle, hog saddle. Those are all like the OGs of that
Vortex
space.
has one.
Really?
Got my hands on that thing. Incredibly well built. That one, it's sleek. There's no like square edges to catch on anything. So the Vortex rifle clamp, Leupold makes one. The original hog saddle and pig saddle, those are a little heavier, but plenty of options out there to just grab that rifle.
Would you guys ever use that for glassing? Would you ever
I used to.
clamp in on some binos? I mean, I suppose you could clamp in a spotter
So
too.
2015 or 14, no, 2015 or 16, there was really no way to attach your binoculars via Arca to the tripod. So I had a saddle, and I clamped my one barrel of the binos in there, and then I clamped my tripod or my spotting scope in there as well. And I didn't ever have to shoot anything off that, but I would have clamped the rifle in there as well. And there's all kinds of other mounting options. Like for binoculars, a lot of companies make these posts with a spigot that threads into the binocular, and those work well too. They're just extra parts where I find that the Arca clamps that just clamp on the barrel just work a little easier.
Yeah, and we do live in an echo chamber on this. So
that's true.
If you guys know of something different,
Mm-hmm.
let us know. But we really enjoy having Arca on all of our stuff because it's so universal.
It's universal. It works. It's simple. And it's nice when anybody can take any one of these tripods and we all kind of share that same Arca system. You can just use it.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
There's no better time to stock your reloading bench and light up your range. With Hornady Get Loaded Plus. New this year, free bullets or free cases when you buy these select Hornady reloading tools. Plus, receive the free HIT target impact indicator. Hornady Get Loaded Plus. Free bullets, free cases, free HIT target impact indicator. Get loaded and light it up with Hornady Get Loaded Plus. Limitations apply. Visit Hornady.com/getloaded2025 for further details.
I don't know what your outline looks like
I don't have
for
one.
this podcast. Well, that's good because I'm going to throw you a tough question. You've got certainly more experience and research into tripods at this point. What do you say to people that would call them a crutch or too expensive of a tool? Because I mean, we're probably looking at well over $1,000 on this table worth of tripods.
This one right here was $1,600.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what I said. Well over.
Yeah. I would say, number one, is it a crutch? Yeah. And if you blow your knee out and have it replaced, you're going to be on a crutch. Like it's nice to have a crutch when you need a crutch. So this thing is tripods for me on the hunt. If it ever breaks or whatever and I can't use it, okay. But so far that's not happened. And I've been able to notch tags because of the tripod. I think back to that one really big mule deer I killed on public land, or the biggest one. That shot happened because I was competent with a tripod. There was no shooting that animal from the location I was in with the one shot opportunity I had, unless it was, you're not freehanding that shot. It was at a range you don't freehand animals, and there was no laying prone. I was on the slight downhill side, and he was on the uphill side. You're not going to lay prone and take that shot. The tripod made it possible. And then from a glassing standpoint, there have been countless times where I'll be glassing, I'll get to a spot, and the first thing I do is pull out the binos off my chest, and I'm glassing in a hurry with hungry eyes. Usually, obviously, near to far, right? Just glassing for anything that I can pick up. And I'll look at something like, no, that's not it, or whatever. And okay, I'm good to sit down and get comfy. Pull out the tripod, put the binos right back in where I was looking, and go, that what? Yeah. And so to me, is it a crutch? Maybe. And I'm really glad I have it. Are they expensive? Good God. Yeah, they are. And you just have to find what's important to you, what's a priority, what kind of hunting you're doing, and what fits your budget and your priorities. Unfortunately, there is an ascending quality with dollar spent ladder. There really is. And I mentioned this one specifically. This is my numero uno. This tripod for me does virtually everything. I have one minor critique with it, and that is it. And so for me, the amount of hunting I do, yeah, I would spend that money and get that tripod every time.
But that being said, you've had a lot of success with this one that you put together.
Yeah.
It's more economical. This is a little bit more economical. Those are as well. But, there's even more economical than this.
Yeah,
of course.
Bog makes a great aluminum option, too.
If you just want to get started.
If you want to get started, get the one you can afford and use it, and you'll see, oh, wow, that's fantastic. Yep, going to go ahead and use this all the time, or maybe not use it all the time, but certainly to have in your arsenal. I think once you get comfortable with it, in my opinion, you'll see the light, and maybe you won't. I don't know.
You mentioned crutch in there, and I want to throw out the one scenario where I disliked the tripod. Just see what you guys think about it. And maybe it's just because I'm wired to what I've done for so long now. But I built that 6 arc, and I have the little chunk of Arca Swiss on there, and I took it out daylight calling coyotes. So you try to hide yourself in a little bit of brush and crouch down. And I was in a seated position, and in the past, I've always just used the bipod, the taller, extendable bipods. And I took out the tripod, thinking this was going to be great, and it was fine. I just felt like making movements. Now, we didn't have a successful day that day. I didn't call anything in, but just sitting behind that rifle on the tripod, trying to minimize movements, it just felt like to take a shot in, I don't know, I wouldn't say 180 degrees, but
you're changing angles enough. Yeah.
Close to 180 degrees. I just felt like I really had to move my body quite a bit and potentially created a little bit of extra movement. What I've always done in the past, with the attached extendable bipod is, you can just kind of slightly pick up and move your rifle and you're in that position, which is still movement, but I felt like the mass of my body stayed. I didn't have to move. So I don't know, maybe in that scenario, calling coyotes, trying to tuck into cover in a seated position where it's a little trickier to move, it just felt like I really had to swing my body. Or again, I could probably pick up and move the whole tripod and get my position built again. But that was the only one time where I kind of ran into a scenario where I wasn't super crazy about the tripod.
It's a valid point.
I think you have to be a little bit picky on where you set up with the tripod, daylight coyote calling versus a bipod.
And
because you're worried about 3 legs, right?
Yeah.
If you have to move,
and where you position your controls,
and the tension of it too.
Yeah, so that could be that all comes into play where the controls of your ball head. You could be moving a bunch of stuff if you're up there fingering around trying to get things. But if you knew that going in, that might save some of it. However, that is still a good point, and it highlights the fact that they're not for everybody, for sure, or for every situation.
And I think with time, with more practice on it, you might get over that entirely.
Yeah, because I think of a similar situation to what Judd was saying in Wyoming a couple years ago. I'm backed into this kind of rocky hillside, backed in, gun in a tripod, and we've got not 180, but darn close, whatever. There's 2 of us on this stand, and stand's over. Like we're getting ready to stand up, and I see a head pop out over the hill a little over 200 yards away. Then it disappears and hit the mouth call, and it pops back over. And I had to take that rifle from pointing, let's say 0 degrees, facing this way, I'm sitting in this hillside, to 50. And to me, it was very natural to loosen that ball head for the panning feature and just swing it over, move my whole body with it. And it was, like you said, Judd, it was a big movement, but I was able to put a bullet in that coyote real quick. To me, it felt very natural, but I've also been shooting off a tripod for, at that point, a long time. So, yeah, it could just be the way you train, the way you shoot. At the end of the day, as long as you're shooting the coyote, it doesn't really matter how you do it.
At least trying to. The old adage, practice makes perfect.
It does, yep. And practice, that again, at the end of the day, we've got all these tripods, all this, the dollars spent and the hours critiquing and looking at weights and lengths. It really comes down to pick the one that you think is going to work best for you for the most scenario, and then get out there and use the darn thing. Because finding out a feature or finding out, this one does this, that, and the other thing, while you're on the hunt, not a good time to find out about it. You need to find out about it as you go in. For example, my numero uno tripod here, this was the last tripod that I bought for hunting, and it does 99.9% of everything I want it to do. It's adjustable from, it collapses down to 18.5 inches for the side of the pack. It's 3.3 pounds, 3.2 pounds. I can glass standing with binoculars on it. It has a lockable pan feature, which is clutch. It literally is my number one tripod. This is the really right stuff, Ascend 14 with the integrated ball head. If I put in, say, my 10-pound rifle, suppressor, scope, magazine loaded, 22 millimeter ball head. If I put a 10-pound rifle in there and walk away, it'll very slowly pull out because it's a small ball head. You're asking that thing to do a lot. So I'd love to see that be beefed up just a little bit, but I would have much rather been practicing with it, noticing that, if I take my shoulder out of the gun, it'll sink down a little bit, than to be trying to get into a mule deer for a hunt and then come off it to get a range and then get back into the gun only to see it's pointed, to the sky. So little things like that. Get out there and practice with your equipment.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
That said, looking here, there's one more thing that I probably want Seth to talk about, but how much does the method of how the legs deploy matter to you? It looks like I see two different options.
So there's
here.
two options. You got the clamp and you got the twist lock. Now, me personally, I preferred the clamp when I was a younger man. I wanted the clamp. I knew they were adjustable. It was very positive. It's open or it's closed. Since then, I have transitioned to, I personally prefer the twist lock, mainly because of when I'm in there. If I'm in a pair of binos, if I'm in the gun, if I'm in a spotting scope, the twist lock to me is easier to stay in and adjust while I'm looking through the bino, or one-handed or whatever, versus the opening up the switch. I don't know. I just feel the twist lock's a little more natural, in my opinion.
Not even for that, in my opinion. And I know you didn't want my answer, but I'm going to give it. Adjustments while you're in it, and then just
you can do them
I can do them
once.
all at once with this. I can deploy this so fast.
That is a key feature in a lot of these 4-section bipods. Our hands are generally big enough. You can grab the 3 twist locks, twist them all at once, and then you can pull all 3 legs out. That is true. That's very handy. It's a speed thing.
Something
it's a
I
little
never
more
thought about,
sleek too, I guess. Looking at it, that can you can make the argument that
might
maybe catch on your pack when you're getting it in and out.
That's
Although
true.
these are smooth, but with some sharp corners, these are no sharp corners, but a little bit of grippy, which I suppose you want.
Yep. They all have a place. Like I said, I've used all of them except for this Vortex Switchback. That one really got me excited for the NRL Hunter, which we should do a podcast on. But I've used the rest of these in the field, and they've all been phenomenal. The Mutant gear with the fluid head has been awesome, especially when you're got a spotting scope on there. And then the rest of them, I've used them. This one I assembled here probably more than most.
Did you hear about that Nebraska farmer? Yeah, he was outstanding in his field.
Oh, should have seen that coming.
All right, dad jokes aside, guys, is there anything else about tripods and about their use and about the use and picking out the feature set that you want to leave the listener with?
Just a lot of things to consider.
Yeah, there is. I mean, information overload could be had on this.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's some there's some front runners, I suppose, in of brands in the tripod world, and then there's a bunch of people that are making more economical ones, no name ones. Like there's so much out there. I guess if you could narrow it down, you like for hunting purposes, 28 to 32 millimeter legs is your sweet spot.
Yep.
You like the twist lock.
Yep.
Heads, you can probably go either way on, I suppose.
Ball head heavy because I can still pan left and right.
Yeah.
And I spend more binocular time than spotting scope time. So for me, the ball heads work better. That's just me.
Yep. And then you got to find out what height you need. And, we don't know your height.
That's right.
And yeah, another part of that, I would say, this may be another perk to get folks to trade shows. Because if you walk the trade show floor, I mean, there's tripods.
You can look at them
all of them. So get your hands on them, see what you like, see what you don't like.
That's
I'm sure
the
the retailers have those
That's
out as well.
the reason I have this one in particular is I was at SHOT Show, and we went down to the basement and actually looked at them because I couldn't decide between this one and the long version, and turns out this one was the one I ended up getting.
That's the sweet spot. Well, I would say to leave the listener, if you're a hunter, even in a box blind, I've used these in box blinds. Thinking out at Marv's down here
all
on the river.
Yeah.
They're really handy. So regardless of where you're hunting, if you're looking for added stability for the rifle and for your optics, I think whether they're a crutch or not, they are a good investment. So I'd leave the listener with that for hunting, a tripod for me, it's a non-negotiable. And I would encourage the listener to get out there and just try it because I think you're going to find better stability.
Yeah, and I say crutch. Maybe that's not the right word for it. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate. My high school history teacher always said I was being a devil's advocate, but I don't think it was a positive thing.
No. And I also want to shout out to the listeners, not shout out, address the tripods that we have up here. These are just the ones we have up here. There's a bunch of tripods that I haven't used. There's some tripods that some of our coworkers have that, again, I haven't used. I know Tricer has come on really strong in the hunting world. Outdoorsman's out of Arizona, they've always been in the tripod game as well. There's a bunch of brands out there that I don't have the time, and I'm sure I would love to. Obviously, I love tripods, but I just haven't got there yet. So these are just the ones that we have. These are not, Hornady endorsed, just the ones we got.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, I'm going to let us get back to the water cooler, talk more deer hunting, and I appreciate you guys coming on the show. Judd, glad we lassoed you in on this one. Hopefully you get the tripod out before your upcoming hunts. It's almost go time.
Yeah. Might have to go take a walk with a thermal tonight just to get out there.
There we go. All right. Thanks again, fellas.
You bet.
Guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode all about tripods and hunting. There's a lot of things to consider: weight, length, size, the ball heads that you use, the fluid heads that you use, how you're going to attach them. There's a lot that goes into it, but we truly think hunting with a tripod can be a game changer. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you on the next one.